Hello. Hi. I made sure that my audio was a little bit better today. So hopefully it sounds good. I like how my caption says a little bit butter today. That's a fun mix up. Well, hi. Welcome to Cafe Scribe Mind. I thought that it would be a good time to do just, a relaxing stream because things are a lot right now. I feel like this week has been really both busy and just, a little all over the place, especially here in America as we await the election results. So I am trying to use journaling as a good, healthy outlet for that. And actually, let me go ahead and close all my extra tabs, which I should have done before I started the stream. But we're just going with the flow today, because that's just how I operate. I'm just always chill and never stressed, never anxious. None of that is true. So yeah, for today we're going to do a guided journaling session. I have some prompts that I put together. And again, I don't need to be wearing earbuds. I don't know why I'm so used to always wearing earbuds. I think I'm just used to other people running streams where I always needed to wear earbuds and still practicing and getting used to just doing all this by myself. But I'm enjoying it because then I can kind of just plan streams on the fly. So I'm glad that I kind of figured all of this stuff out for the most part. So I called this stream the sacred writing time, and that's actually a phrase that I was taught, I guess, in grad school. I was a graduate fellow for the Northern Nevada Writing Project, which is part of the National Writing Project, which basically works to provide resources and curriculum to writing programs in K through 12 education across the U.S. It's a really great program. And during each of our sessions during the summer fellowship that I did, we would start by doing sacred writing time. And it was just a time to do some free writing and some journaling. And sometimes our facilitators would give us prompts. And I just thought that was just a nice way to talk about writing. And I think that journaling is kind of like a sacred writing time for us because it's just writing that we're doing for ourselves, and especially for creatives and people who write professionally. It's even more important that we factor in sacred writing time into our creative schedules because it's easy to always write for other people, but I think using our creative medium to write for ourselves can be just as powerful. So I just like sacred writing time. It's something that I used to use with my own students when I was teaching English 101. I used to also do a remedial writing program after school at some of the local high schools, and I would do it with them. And I just like to kind of carry on the tradition. So I hope that you will pass this on to, the people in your life, or at least maybe consider referring to your own writing time as sacred writing time. So for journaling, I'm supposed to be working. Why would you do this to me? I'm sorry. I am recording this, so you can always come back and visit later. And I thought that, we'll do journaling streams again in the future. We actually were going to do an RPG writer workshop stream today, and I checked in with my two team members earlier this week, and I was like, I do not think that I have the brain capacity to do that this week. Of course, the RPG writer workshop is happening right now, but I don't know. There's just, gosh darn it, I'm always smacking my microphone. That happened last week when I did a live stream on the Gen Con channel. I gestured wildly as I am prone to do, and I totally smacked my microphone in the middle of the stream. I don't think I'll ever not do that. So I just have kind of learned to live with the fact that pretty much once per stream, at least, I will probably at some point gesture and hit my microphone. I could probably just move my microphone, but I don't know. That's, I guess, just a tradition of my streams. Anyway, yeah, I was just thinking that I just didn't really have the brain power. And I didn't really want to do a planning stream because, again, I think that sometimes always focusing on planning and productivity doesn't really help. It's good to kind of balance that with some, reflection, because our life isn't always just about the future, which I have to remind myself about a lot because I'm always thinking I'm like, I feel like I rarely live in the present. I really struggle with that. So I like to use, journaling as a way to kind of bring myself back into the present and really focus on what's happening now and not always planning for, a day ahead or, years ahead. I don't know why I'm just always thinking about the future, which I think is probably how a lot of people feel as well. So yeah, thanks for joining me. So what we're going to do today is just work together through some journaling prompts. So if you don't have a notebook or something to write in, I would grab that. You can type, you can write. Whatever you prefer to use for journaling is totally fine. I am not a journaling snob. If anything, I like all sorts of journals, and I assembled all of the things that I'm currently using as my journals. One is my main bullet journal that I use throughout the week, and I've been using this since earlier this year, and I really like it. It's just a little simple journal. It has dot grid paper, and I also have been using my iPad a lot mostly for digital planning, but there are some really great journaling apps. So if you're someone who doesn't journal very regularly, or you find journaling to be, a hobby that sometimes is a little hard to develop, which I sometimes feel that way, there are some great journaling apps that give you like a daily prompt, or they just kind of make it simple and they make it fun and aesthetic. And someone asked, what program do I use for captions? It's called PubNub. PubNub, let me check real quick. PubNub.com. I basically just looked up live captioning for Twitch, and it was one of the first results, and I had kind of checked out a few. For the most part, it works pretty well. As you can see, there's a couple things that it doesn't always catch, and most of that is usually user error on my end, where I'm speaking too quickly. That is something that I am prone to do, especially when I get excited. I just start really going. And so I'm really trying to be conscious of speaking not slowly, but like enough for the captioning tool to accurately translate everything that I'm saying. So I hope for the most part that it works well. I am always looking for, new tools and whatever works best for that to hopefully make my streams and content accessible. It's something that I really believe in, something I'm learning a lot about. So I hope that it's helpful. So back to journaling. There's an app on iPad or iOS. I don't know if it's available for Android. It might be, but it's called Jour, Jour, and it's a premium journaling app, but it looks really cool because it has this really beautiful UI, and it just prompts you with like a couple questions, and you don't have to write a lot, because I think when we're developing journaling as a new hobby or a new endeavor, it's daunting to just open up a blank page and feel like we have to write like just, everything that comes to our minds. So I think that is kind of a helpful tool to get back into journaling regularly. And I feel like for me this year, journaling has become a really important outlet to me. I used to journal a lot throughout pretty much my whole life. I never went anywhere without a notebook. I would fill up notebooks, no problem. I was always in the habit of just putting all of my thoughts into journals. And at some point in my life, I think around college, I kind of fell out of that. And so it's taken me a long time to really get back to it. But between, the pandemic, all of the political turmoil this year, and just life in general, I really have come back to journaling as just a personal outlet, because there's a lot that I feel like we should be, expressing to ourselves on a regular basis. And I like to think of journaling as a way to kind of untangle the knot that is my thoughts. So I think our thoughts are very abstract. They're not very linear, where we think one thing and then another thing, and then they're kind of like how we read. Our thoughts are often happening at, the same time. They overlap and they get interrupted. And so what I like about journaling is that it kind of forces me to untangle the knot a little bit. So if you think of it like a ball of yarn, like your thoughts are, a ball of yarn, journaling helps to kind of pull out that thread and detangle that a little bit. So usually when I commit to journaling regularly, in the sense that I'm, expressing my thoughts and my concerns and just doing check-ins with myself, I feel, a sense of clarity that I don't always get if I'm not journaling. And one other quick thing I wanted to talk about was that there's different forms of journaling. So the kind that we're doing today is more like reflective, maybe long form journaling. And when I say long form, I mean that we're actually like writing things out. It's not so much like bullet journaling, which is a different type of bullet journaling or different type of journaling altogether, where that's more about tracking your to-dos and your tasks. There's actually a system that bullet journaling refers to, where you use marks to organize your different priorities in your life. And so that's a little bit different than kind of reflective journaling, where it's almost like diary style writing. And that's also different from creative journaling, which I think is what a lot of people are probably most familiar with at this point, which means that it's kind of a mix of bullet journaling, but also like artistic creative journaling, where you're using lots of artistic elements to, make these beautiful pages in your journal, and you're, using it to plan out your time, whether that's your week or your month. And it's kind of a mix of different kinds of journaling, but I feel like that form of journaling is very popular right now. So I think that there's not one that I think is better than the other. I like to do a mix of different types of journaling in my life. I'm someone who really likes to write things down in general, because if I don't, I will forget things. I swear, if I don't write down even the smallest things, it just leaves my head, because I'm so used to just documenting things for myself. And just in general, I find it to be just important for my own kind of personal peace of mind. But sometimes it's hard. And so prompts are really helpful to know where to start, because there's nothing less fun when you are ready to journal, but you open up your notebook and you're like, I don't know where to start with my own thoughts. I know what I'm thinking, but I don't know where to start first. Okay, so I hope that you have your beverage of choice. I have 3 drinks on my desk right now. I have a cup of water and these cute little Nightmare Before Christmas cups that my brother got for me for my birthday. I really like drinking things with straws, and I feel like that helps me drink a lot of water. I don't know why that works for me. I think whatever works for ourselves is something that we should do to encourage good habits. I have a little bit of coffee left in my Ember mug. So this mug is awesome. It basically keeps your drinks warm, and you can set the temperature at which you want your drinks to be kept, which is really nice. So if you like different kinds of hot beverages, you can set different temperatures for that, for tea or coffee. And I feel like I always used to just pour coffee and then forget about it, and then have cold coffee later, and that sucks. So Ember's really cool. That's one of my favorite gadgets. Maybe I'll do a stream about gadgets. And then I have San Pellegrino that my husband poured for me. So I have all sorts of beverages. It's party time. It is not quite 5 o'clock, but 4:45 in Reno, Nevada, which the whole country is looking at right now. No pressure. Nevada, get it together. What a week. Yes, let's see. Let me clear my desk a little bit so I'm not moving things around. Say it right. Nevada. Yeah, if you want us to count the votes, you got to say Nevada right. It's funny because I don't think that's actually how you say Nevada in the original Spanish, because it's a Spanish word. I think it is Nevada in Spanish. So I think we actually say it wrong. I think Nevada is such a beautiful word. I think it means like snowy mountains, which I think is really lovely. And since we have the Sierra Nevada mountains, because people keep saying like, oh, what's going on in the desert out in Nevada? And it's like, we have mountains here. We have trees. We have Lake Tahoe, half of Lake Tahoe, maybe not half. I think actually California has more Lake Tahoe than we do. But Nevada is an interesting place. We have a really diverse terrain, and I'm glad that people are learning a lot about our state right now, even though it feels like a lot of pressure. Oh shoot, my Toggle notification is like, you've been idle. I'm not idle right now. I am streaming. I mentioned on my last stream that I've been using Toggle to track my time, and it's really great. And for the most part, it's really helping to hold me accountable for things throughout the day, because I hate feeling at the end of the day like, where did all my time go? Like I had so much to do, and I don't feel like I did as much as I wanted to. And it's not that I don't let myself do things. I just try to really manage my time as effectively as possible so that I can do fun things in the evening, which is always a struggle for me because I never feel like in the evenings I have just downtime. I'm always thinking about the things that I need to do. So Toggle's been cool for helping with that. And it's mostly like tracking all of the time I've been spending refreshing the New York Times. So that's not the best use of my time because it hasn't changed much today. So hopefully this stream will give you also a reprieve from that. We can all go back to refreshing pages after the stream. So let me close my toggle notification. Google's also reminding me that I have a stream scheduled for this time. So I'm really glad that all my systems in place are letting me know what I need to be doing right now. I mean, I guess it's working, but also like, I know, I get it. Stop telling me, Google Calendar. Oh, I also wanted to show off my Passion Planner, which I don't really use for journaling. It's definitely for planning. Although Passion Planner as a brand is really cool because all of their planners have a system for how to set goals or milestones in your life. So they actually provide templates for that along with monthly and weekly templates, which is really cool. So I'm really liking this. So my coworkers actually got me this for my birthday. It arrived without a note. And so I spent like all last weekend trying to figure out who sent me this beautiful rose gold Passion Planner. And on Monday, I realized that it was them. So that was such a nice gift. And it matches my rose gold iPad cover. I have a lot of rose gold accessories. That's kind of like my preferred accent color. So I like when everything matches. But yeah, this Passion Planner is really cool. So if you're looking for a planner for 2021, I definitely recommend checking out Passion Planner. They have different colors, styles, sizes. They have one that I think is for students. This one I think is just one of their main not generic, but one of their goal setting undated planner, which is nice because it doesn't start on January 2021, because I've definitely learned that I don't like to commit to a planner that's dated, because if I go a month without really using it, then I feel like it kind of makes the planner not as usable and you can't reuse it because it has set dates. So I recommend getting an undated planner, but it's just really pretty. And it has pages in the back for journaling that I haven't used yet, but I have been taping cool stuff into it, like postcards or stickers, and just using it more as a trapper keeper than journaling space. But yeah, so between those three things, I have a lot of journaling things. Rose gold is such an excellent color. It is. It's just, I don't know, I just love rose gold. I have a lot of rose gold. My watch band is rose gold. My husband always gets me rose gold accessories to build up my collection. So whenever I need to pick an accent color for tech or something, I always go for that. And yeah, that's just, I don't know. I just feel like when you learn what you like, it's nice to really hone in on that and make that your style, So I really try to do that in my life just because I'm often driven by aesthetics. I like when things are pretty, but I just feel like then it feels like me, The saddest thing is having an empty calendar or notebook with the wrong year. Right. I have actually a really beautiful planner. I don't even know who got it for me, but it has all of this art by Dutch painters, and it's the most beautiful planner ever, but it's from I don't know, 2012 or something. So I can't use it. But so it's just this empty planner that I just didn't make use of. So it's unfortunately dated. So what I think I might do is maybe cut some of it up and put it in my current journals. But I just really think that undated planners are the way to go. Plus, I recently started setting resolutions for myself on my birthday, which was in October, instead of waiting until January, mostly because time is fake right now. But I just thought that would be fun to set myself up for a new year of my life on my birthday rather than waiting for January. I mean, unless your birthday's in January, then you can do that. But for me, I was why make goals on a day that's kind of arbitrary? I mean, I totally understand making goals on the new year because I used to do that, but I just felt for me, I wanted to start a new planner on my birthday. So now every year on my birthday, I have an excuse to buy a new planner since I will have filled up the one from the year before. So this is my scheme. So let's actually get to journaling. I feel like I do this every time where I'm this won't be too long. I'm just going to keep it easy. And then I just babble for a half hour. Okay, so let me pull up my PowerPoint. I was almost going to say that I don't have a PowerPoint plan for this stream, but I definitely did. This is the draw to my Twitch channel, is PowerPoint content. Technically Google Slides, I think it's called. Oh, nope, don't want to share. Wanted to present. There we go. Okay, so let's get started with our guided journaling. So I might try to do this with you a little bit, but I think it'll be easier for me to just talk through it. But what I'm going to do is share a prompt, just do some casual chit chat as you're writing, and then give you the next prompt. So we'll just make it chill. Go through it that way. So I like to start off my journaling sessions with actually just a list, because I usually find that kind of like immediate moment of, I don't know what to write. I don't know how to start. So I like to start with make a list of everything you're currently feeling. And I really mean just start putting stuff on the paper. And I really think that a list form works best for this, because you can just start listing like, I feel, pretty good, but I also feel agitated. I feel tired. And you just start listing out your thoughts from there. So start by doing a little bit of a personal check-in. Make a list of everything you're currently feeling. You don't have to elaborate on that yet. And just make this your starting point. And I find that when I do use this as my starting point during my personal journaling sessions, that it does kind of start to kickstart other things that I want to write about or what I'm feeling. Because if I start writing out my list and then I really get caught up on one specific emotion, then I know, okay, I want to drill down a little bit farther into that. So I think that just keeping it to a list form is just easy. I think with journaling, a lot of us are used to writing for an audience, and I think that also includes social media. So we're kind of used to sharing a lot of our thoughts very publicly or openly. And so journaling sometimes I think still has those hangups. So we kind of have to change our mindset on that and remember that this is just for us. No one is reading this. No one should be reading this. And I think it's important to have that private space so that you can really be honest and express yourself and not feel pressure to justify anything that you're feeling, because all of your feelings are valid. You're feeling those things for a reason. So I'll give you another minute or so to make your list. Don't spend too much time on it. Just kind of go with your gut. Just how are you feeling right now? It's okay to feel a lot of things at once. I feel like I feel the whole range of emotions on a regular basis, especially this year, where things are they're just weird and unpredictable. And that's hard to plan for. So I've definitely been trying to check in with myself even more so than usual because of all of those kind of unpredictable, circumstances. An emotion wheel is helping me, really focuses on the chaos. Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. And I love the way you phrase that, focuses on the chaos, because that's another kind of version of the analogy of like really detangling this yarn ball of our thoughts. So I think that journaling, whatever helps you to really isolate, a thought and be able to actually put it on paper or, the screen. When I say put pen to paper, however you're writing is what that means. So yeah, I think it's good to just try to reference any emotion, or just use the guide of emotions to say, okay, that's what I'm feeling. That's what I'm feeling. And then you can really drill down farther. Okay. The next prompt. What is one thing you've done today to take care of yourself? So another kind of personal journaling strategy that I use for myself is to do like the one thing trick. And this is actually like a productivity trick I learned. I'm trying to remember. So someone has like the one thing as like their actual, it might even be trademark. I don't remember, but it's like basically when you can really focus on the one thing that you can, complete, or one thing that becomes your goal, it helps to clarify everything else. And so I like to apply that to journaling, and rather than really deconstruct every moment of my day, I really try to just isolate the one thing for each of the following questions. So I like to do this one first because I think it's important as we're doing this kind of personal check-in to make sure that, our basic needs are met. I think it's really easy right now to put a lot of our kind of basic needs on the back burner. So when you can write down at least one thing that you've done, you know that you're doing right by yourself, whether that's drinking enough water, you made a nutritious lunch, or you worked out a little bit, or, you just did something that you feel like for you is your own version of self-care. Because self-care is not just about the, putting on a face mask, not like a face mask, but like a skin mask, which I feel like sounds gross, but you know what I mean? Like skincare mask. This stream. This will be a fun stream to go back and watch in a couple weeks. So I think that it's important to think about self-care as really just being about our basic needs, because that's really what it comes down to every day. And I think during this year, especially because of the pandemic, if all we really can do every day is make sure that our basic needs are being met, whether that's for us or our families, sometimes that's plenty. That's enough. We don't have to really always aspire for more. Sometimes just getting through the day is okay. So write down in your journals one thing. And if you don't have a one thing, maybe that's a good sign to do one thing for yourself. So after this, or now, get up and get yourself some water or a beverage. You can do what I'm doing and diversify your beverages. I feel like this happens to me every day, where I end up accumulating a lot of cups on my desk. But I don't like to have a lot of clutter on my desk. So I'm always like moving cups out of my room and into the kitchen. And then when my husband comes home, he's like, why aren't there like 10 water cups next to the sink? I'm like, because I got a new water cup every time I needed water, obviously. So it was like clean and fresh, like duh. So I'm trying not to do that quite as much, but I definitely become a cup collector. Okay, let's move on to our next prompt. And if I'm going too fast, you can always, revisit this video later. I feel like this, is something that I am going to put up on my YouTube channel, and I just figured it'll be something that we can always reference. And you don't really have to work at the same speed. I just want to, okay, this is a great pace. Okay, good. And I know my talking is probably distracting. Next time I'll, find some peaceful classical music or something to play. I'll maybe produce it a little bit more. I just figured, you know what? We're doing it live. We're just going for it. All right. What is one thing you've done today to help someone else? And I always like this prompt because I think that sometimes we get into our own heads about things. And I know that sometimes when the world feels hard, I am like, I don't know what to do. I start to feel a little helpless. There's always at least one thing that we can be doing, though, to help someone else. And that might be someone in our immediate family, or just, someone who's already close to us. But I think when we can always be thinking, about ourselves, checking in with ourselves, and then also doing what we can to make someone else's life a little bit better, that helps to keep things in balance, because we can't really be expected to do everything for everyone. And I think that it's hard enough to just do the basic things lately. And Stop That Old Woman, or H.H. Carlin, their author name. Acts of service can really make me feel grounded, a reminder of our space within the universe. I think that's beautiful. Also, hi. Stop That Old Woman, who's in chat. That's not like their name. What if I was just like, stop that old woman, and there's like an old woman running outside the window? Co-wrote Rime of the Frost Maiden. So I was very fortunate to work with her on that project. So hello, thanks for joining. Lo-fi Ashley to journal to. Oh my goodness. I'm like, who do I know who can help make some lo-fi with me? We can make cool journaling lo-fi to organize your Notion to. This is the dream. Now, this is now my new goal. Although someone on Twitter, I was talking, gosh darn it, again, bumping my mic. I was talking about chess on Twitter today because I'm really excited to watch the Queen's Gambit. I love chess. And I was talking about how I once tried to start a chess guild to get sweaters made with leather patches on the elbows. Of course, duh. And someone was like, we need like Scribemind Guild sweaters. And I was like, uh-oh, that's like sending all the wheels in my brain turning now. So now I have ideas for things like that. So that maybe lo-fi. Now my goals are lo-fi beats for journaling, or Scribemind streams, and then like a Scribemind Guild sweater. So I'm like, oh, I have some new ideas now. I would love Scribemind merch. Are you kidding me? It's something that I haven't really thought about, because I feel like I'm gonna make my light a little bit brighter because it's getting dark. Scribemind is, has been my brand, my personal business for several years now, and I never really assumed that anyone besides me would want to like rep Scribemind merch, but I'll have to think about it, because I feel like we have a pretty cool little Scribemind community now, with the Scribemind Guild. So I'll have to think of some fun merch, something to look into for 2021. All right. Ooh, sweatshirts. That would be fun. The logo is a good logo. I'm glad you like it. I actually made it myself, again, like years ago, because I was just like, what feels like me? And I was like, eyeball book. But for me, it's like, it represents a lot of the things that I love and do within Scribemind: research, writing, teaching. It's just fun. Eyeballs, you say. I just like eyeballs. I think eyes are cool. Eyes are cool as like a symbol. Like I always love like the evil eye, the symbols to ward off the evil eye, like the Hamza. And I think it has a really cool name in Italian that it's like Olio, Occhio, or something like that. It has a really cool name in Italian that I always thought was really fun, which also would have made a fun business name. Okay, anyway, totally rambling. Whew. All right. So, what is one thing that currently frustrates you? I think at this point in my journaling sessions, I like to start unpacking thoughts. And there's inevitably always something that is frustrating me or bothering me. So you might replace frustrates with a word of just like what's agitating you, what's bothering you, what's upsetting you. Basically, like what's a current pain point for you. And I find that this is where a lot of my best journaling sessions come from, is when I can really identify that, because then I can really unpack the more tangled thoughts in my head, because I tend to ruminate on things that bother me. And if I don't really take the steps to unpack that and really find out like what specifically is bothering me about this thing that happened or something that's out of my control, then I can then do the work to either resolve the conflict or move on and let go, which is not something that I'm very good at. Not very good at letting go of things. I tend to just like not harbor resentments. And these are things that also, I might be frustrated with myself about something and just really beating myself up about something that is not that big of a deal. But until I really take the time to unpack that, then it just sits in my head and it just becomes like a weight that I can't really move past. So sometimes this question, even though it's just one thing, it kind of brings up all of these other things. And it might do that for you. And for you, I don't ever want to assume what you're writing about, but I know that there's probably a lot of frustrations about the election and just things of that nature. So you might choose to write about that and really try to find what the main part of that is really bothering you the most and really is like affecting your day and your time, because journaling should really be about, helping you, bringing you some peace and some clarity and maybe some, action items for yourself. I always feel like during my journaling sessions, I come away with some things that I want to change, not so much fix. I've learned that I don't really like the word fix when it comes to like my life, because I feel like that contrasts it with like things that are broken, and that's rarely the case. It's usually things that need to change. And I think the more that we can be adaptable in our lives and resilient, then we can, really try to make our circumstances the best they can be, no matter what is going on. Because there's only so much that we can really control, as the election is demonstrating, along with the pandemic. When I think about this year, it's just like, wow, we really all have gone through a lot. Oh, Alex suggested the word develop too. That's good. I like that, because I think develop indicates that there's, a process, there's a timeline. It's not just this immediate thing, this one thing that I fix or change is going to, change my whole life. I think that sometimes I get into this rut with planning and just like ideating that. I'm always thinking about when I'm on the other side of this project or when I'm on the other side of this timeline, things are going to be this way. And you know what? It doesn't really work that way. There's not really this threshold that we cross and all of a sudden things are just different. It's a slow process in our life to, implement changes. And these are like lifelong things that we're doing. So I really like develop. That's a good word for sure. Okay. What is one thing that currently brings you joy? So I always feel like when I, am unpacking the frustrating things in life, I like to follow it up by, something positive. And it's not because I want to ignore the negativity or things, because I think it's important that we really look at all of those things in our life, holistically, so that we're being honest with ourselves about how we're feeling and not just, pushing off things that we should be reflecting on. But I think it's important to acknowledge the things that bring us joy. Could this encompass gratitude? Absolutely. I think the one of the best journaling prompts is like one of the most simple. It's like, what are you grateful for? Like, that's such a great question. We should always be asking ourselves that, because I think we always have things to be grateful for. And I think it's good to find those little things in our lives as well. I always feel like I become most grateful about those little things, because those are the things that add up to the big things. That's what adds up to our lives. And so, yeah, I think you could absolutely use this as a gratitude question. and or something that brings you joy. And I don't always think that joy and gratitude are the same thing or used interchangeably, but I think these questions serve a similar purpose. I have an entire journal just for a daily gratitude entry. Going back through those daily moments has been quite powerful. That is such a great habit to be in, because I can imagine that when you do go back through that and you see all those entries, it really adds up to a lot. Even if you might repeat things that you're grateful for. I feel like I'm always grateful for my husband. I'm always grateful for our home together. There's always things that I'm usually grateful for on a regular basis, but it's nice to really reflect on that. So that's great. I usually put this question in my journal, what's bringing me joy, and usually that's little things, but I think I need to be more I need to use the gratitude question more frequently, because I would really like to have a log like that. I think that would be really powerful. So maybe I'll try to do that in one of my one of my many journaling options, because I think that's also what's really fun about journaling, is just to have this log of where we were at different points in our lives. I love reading through my notebooks from high school. They're a little cringy, but it's whatever. I was a teenager. Teenagers do cringy things, but it's just cool to see what I was thinking about then, and the things that were important to me then, and how sometimes those things have stayed the same, and how in most ways those things have changed pretty profoundly. So I think the more that we can document for ourselves, we have this wonderful archive of our lives, which is just so wonderful. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I think that is a great practice. Okay. So this kind of goes off of that last point, but I was thinking about this question recently because it's come up a lot for me when I've been journaling. But what is one thing you want to remember about this time in your life? I was thinking earlier this year about wow, we're living through a pandemic. This is something that I'll tell my future children about, or, we'll always kind of refer to this time in our lives, probably for the rest of our lives, the way that, collectively we refer to major things that happen in the world. But then also we have this, historical election that's happening as well. There's so many things happening this year that I think we're going to remember for a long time. And in a way, I think that's partly why a lot of us feel exhausted, because I think our brains are just trying to hold on to so many things. We're constantly what is happening? We're all being pushed to our limits in ways that we haven't really been before, at least not everything at once. So I have been really documenting, this is what I'm feeling at this point in my life. These are the things that I valued at this time in my life. And I think just maybe noting at least one thing that you want to remember, whether that's about, today or during election week, or just about, this time. It doesn't have to even be related to the things going on in the world. It could just be about your personal journey and something that happened in your life, both, good or bad. It's just, I think this is just something I keep thinking about. I keep coming back to this question, what am I going to think about this time in my life, 2 years from now or 10 years from now? So I encourage you to maybe incorporate this into your journaling. It might be not a question you ask every single day, maybe once a month, every few weeks, just as a check-in, because it would be cool to see how your answers change even over the course of just a year. I want to remember how strong my relationship with my partner has become in this time. I'm grateful for that. That's so great. I think relationships have really changed a lot this year. They've either strengthened, often due somewhat to proximity. If you've been in quarantine with your partner for a while, that can maybe change the nature of your relationship. Or they've become, more distant, just because if you're not seeing certain people as much as you were, or not, talking to them, or I feel like everyone's priorities are shifting all the time. And sometimes that means that, some friendships might not be as important at different times in our life. So I think that's really great. I feel the same way. I feel like my relationship with my partner, I've been with Andrew for over a decade. We've been married for 5 years, but I feel like we still get closer because we've just learned a lot this year. And I think everyone has really gone through a lot, and we're all changing as individuals, and that is being reflected in our relationships. So that's great. That's a wonderful thing to be grateful for. Okay. I'm going to go to the next prompt. Oh yeah. Okay. So this is actually a quote from one of my favorite books called The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simons. It's unsurprisingly a World War II book. historical fiction set in Russia. It has a love story, but it's not technically a romance novel, but it has this really powerful romance. And there's this quote from it that is probably one of my all-time favorite quotes from literature. And I actually really like to use it as a writing prompt. So I put the questions on here, but I wanted to read you the full quote because I just think it's so, I don't know, it's so powerful. I actually used this with my students once when we were doing a sacred writing time, and they really enjoyed it and found it really, really powerful for their own reflection. Oh shoot, I just had it pulled up. Here it is. So, when you're unsure of yourself, whenever you're in doubt, ask yourself 3 questions. What do you believe in? What do you hope for? But most important, ask yourself, what do you love? And when you answer, Tatiana Madanova, that's the character's name, you will know who you are. And more important, if you ask this question of the people around you, you will know who they are too. And I just really like this as just a quote, but also as a journaling prompt, because I think this is another prompt that you might not do every single day. But if you do this prompt, once a year, you might see some, changes in yourself. And I think that it's also, like the quote says, like something to ask the people in your lives as well. Because I always like to reflect on like, what are my personal values? What are my, morals? What drives all the decisions that I make in my life? Because I think those are the only things that we can really control in our lives, really. Because even when we make decisions, we can never really predict, all of the outcomes. So we can only really guide ourselves based off of what we know about ourselves. And I think the more that we can really be in touch with what certain things mean to us and why we want the things that we do, that's, always a healthy activity. And I feel like this quote just encompasses that for me. Like, what do you believe in? What do you hope for? And what do you love? Because that is who you are. That is who we are, right? Like when we really compile all of that together, that is truly what encompasses us as individuals and is what, brings us closer to other people. I feel like right now during the election, sometimes these are what cause, divisions, where those, the things that we believe in are different than what other people believe in. And how do we coexist alongside people who, have such different worldviews than we do? But all we can really control is what we value. Time to pause journaling to add The Bronze Horseman to my Goodreads to read list. It's such a beautiful book. I actually might reread it. I'm just a sucker for World War II romance, things set in Russia. That's good female protagonist. I mean, it really checks a lot of boxes. It's actually the first in a trilogy. I've read the whole trilogy. There's a lot I really like about the second book. The third book, I feel like there's some character changes that I'm not a huge fan of. It kind of fundamentally changes what I loved about some of the romance. But I think it's worth reading. It's just this really powerful story about these 2 people who are, trying to survive during this war and, the wars that have come after that. So yeah, check it out if you like that kind of literature. I just picked up a book this week that I had started reading back in July, but my brain in July was like, too much word, too complex story, can't handle this. So it's called, the book is called The Historian, and it's about Vlad the Impaler. I'm like really into Dracula stuff at this moment. I'm going through a Dracula phase, but it's a book that's actually written kind of like a research project. So there's like letters, there's first person accounts. It's just this really cool book. So now I'm in it again, but I think now I'm just in a better mindset to really focus on it. Like my brain wants like a not a dense book, but something that I can really like sink my teeth into. No pun intended. Vampires. That was a good pun, but I'm really liking it so far. So I think that this will be the time that I really get into it. It looks like we have fans of The Historian. I love The Historian. The Historian is awesome. It's so dense and steeped in drama. Yeah, it's what it seems like. I feel like it's been a little bit of a slow burn, but I've heard that it really picks up, or like the story really, you just like really get into it. But I actually am really genuinely enjoying it again. I think I'm about maybe like a 4th through it, so I'm early. But the prose is like beautiful. It's set in lots of places in Europe, but the way the author describes these different places in Europe is like it's like drenched in atmosphere. I'm really, really enjoying it. And just like at this time of year, it's fun to read like a dark, moody spooky, but not like traditional horror. I guess it is traditional horror because it's about Dracula, which is very much traditional horror, but it's different than like being like a flat out scary book. But trust me, the last third of the book is unforgettable. Oh, I'm so excited. It's a book that I've had on my list for years because just the story just totally appealed to me. I'm obsessed with anything having to do with anything even remotely Eastern European. And I've always loved like the medieval history of, Vlad the Impaler and all that stuff. So I was really excited about it. And I just love the format. So I'm really excited about it. So I think I'll really like it. I have a feeling it might even become maybe a favorite, go on the favorite list. That list is always, adjusting, but it's easy for me to declare a book my new favorite. If I like it, if I like really, really like it, or like just really obsess over it, then it's a favorite. And that's kind of my only criteria. Okay. So those are the only prompts that I really planned for today. I didn't want this to be too long of a stream or get too into journaling. I just feel like I don't really have the capacity for it today, and I imagine that a lot of you might feel similarly. But what I hope these prompts did was at least get you started and perhaps prompt you with some other thoughts that you can really delve into. And you don't have to journal every single day. I like to journal every day, but I haven't been very good about it recently. But I find that at least doing periodic check-ins with yourself via journaling is very much worth your time. And I always feel better afterward. It's kind of like exercising. It's like I know that I'll feel better afterward. And it's not that I don't like to do it while I'm doing it. It's just getting started. So I think with all creative activities, just getting started is sometimes the hard part. But once we get started, we can kind of, continue. So this was so relaxing. I'm glad. That was my intention. So thank you all for joining me. I'll let you, finish your thoughts for another minute or so before concluding. But yeah, this was fun. I would really like to do maybe a monthly journal with me session like this with different prompts. I have, lots of fun streams planned. Ooh, I missed it. Oh, it's okay. We will do it another one in the future. I tried to keep this one, we're almost to an hour. Try to keep it a little shorter because I've been going over the last 2 times I've done it. And I'll probably also try to do streams at different times. I usually find that this time of day on Thursdays works best with my schedule, but I have some flexibility. So I'll try to account for folks in different time zones. And it's all recorded, so it'll be on Twitch and it'll be on YouTube. So you can always go revisit. But does anyone have any kind of general questions or thoughts about journaling as we wrap up? Anything you want to share or ask about? This was a lovely time. HR is journaling across the table from me, and it's lovely to see. Oh, that's so nice. It's fun to journal together. I need to get my husband into journaling. We can do like journaling sessions together. He's getting a new tablet or 2-in-1 laptop, so he'll have a fun thing to do journaling on. So don't be afraid to be esoteric. Oh, I never am. Well, I think on that note, that'll conclude our evening together tonight. But I hope that this was a little bit of a reprieve from, all of the election chaos. I know I'll probably go right back to checking all of the news right afterwards, but make sure to look after yourselves, take care of those you love and your communities. That's all we can really do. And I will see you soon for another fun and hopefully relaxing creative stream. So thank you, everyone. I will talk to you soon.